Your next guest says a power struggle at the Fed could actually boost stocks. Joining us now is the aforementioned David Zervos, who is mysteriously taking the chair of Christina Partsinevelos.
That was quick. We just
It's amazing how that happens in television.
Two Greeks, though, I think, right? It's one Greek for another.
That's fantastic. No judgment. You're both equally great. Thanks for joining us, David.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Why would a fight at the Fed be good for stocks?
I don't think there's a fight. I think there's a storyline developing that over the next year, and you mentioned Jay's term ending in April, May of next year. You've got Governor Kugler leaving in January. That gives the president 2 seats in all likelihood. He's got 2 already in Chris Waller and Mickey Bowman. So 4 out of 7 board members are Trump appointees. And the market is taking note of that. The market recognizes that's a majority. And they're all somewhat sympathetic to his agenda.
Are they? They're going to be dovish? We had a big debate about this last hour.
Yeah.
Like, number one is, does he appoint someone more dovish? Number 2, if so, May is coming up pretty quick. So regardless of when this announcement is made, it's coming up quick and should arguably be factored into the market. Number 3, the only reason not to appoint someone who would be blatantly dovish is if the long end goes up on that as a result. So I'm curious what you think about it.
Well, I thought unusually Steve Leisman made a very good point, because I haven't agreed a lot with Steve lately, but he did make
He always makes great points.
He made a great point with you in your segment earlier, where he said that effectively, these are going to be folks that probably believe in the pro-growth agenda more. They believe that the tariffs aren't going to be some sort of huge detriment. They're going to look at the dereg story. They're going to look at a lot of the pieces and parts of the Trump economic agenda, and they're probably going to have different dots, different forecasts. They're going to have a little bit more of that 90s flair that Brian was talking about, where we have the ICGEs and the CMGIs.
You remember those stocks?
Oh, of course I do. I was listening to you.
We also have high productivity.
High productivity, productivity miracle, all that fun stuff.
And a 2-year slow-rolling market crash.
They take a little more risk, right? They take, like Alan Greenspan did. And Alan Greenspan in the 90s took a lot of risk. People said, you're crazy keeping rates this low. Turned out he wasn't crazy. So they're going to be, I wouldn't call them dovish. I'm going to say their economic forecasts, their outlooks are going to be more conducive to taking risks with lower rates.
All due respect to Jay Powell, I know he's a friend of yours. You're close to him. You know him personally. And I think he's done a serviceable job. Again, like your point with Steve Leisman, I don't agree with everything Powell's done, but it doesn't matter. At what point does the market stop listening to Jay Powell and start focusing on whoever is next? Because at some point, maybe it's now, 9 months is, to Kelly's point, it's not that far off.
Soon in Fed terms, yeah.
Right?
It's very soon. And a big part of policy is forward guidance. I mean, this has been a huge part. Look, I think one thing that we've seen with President Trump, and if you've watched him outside of the financial markets, wherever he's operating, if he doesn't like you and he can't get rid of you, the one thing he does is try to make you irrelevant. And I think that's more or less what's happening here. So, and by the way, I really watched that last press conference closely, and I think the market is getting to the point where they're looking at Jay's relevance and going, you tried to be hawkish and nothing happened.
It kind of felt that way, too.
I think
did. Powell, who's obviously a very smart man, seemed to recognize that.
That he's lost a little bit of the punch.
Well, I think part of your job is going to be, when you talk to clients, they're going to ask you, David, who do you think is next, and what is that person going to do?
Well, that's going to happen. But again, you put 5 names up there. They're all great names. They're all great names. And by the way, the market movement on any of those would be fantastic nominees for that job.
But I don't
think the market would be that different.
I don't see the market reacting to anything that these various people are saying as if it were coming from a Fed chair right now, right? Like, if we got to the point where they were kind of really starting to price this in, okay, whatever comes out of Hassett's mouth, whatever Warsh writes, whatever, I don't feel like we're there yet.
Well, look, to be fair, I'm not sure they are out there doing that yet. So there hasn't been an active program, Kelly, yet of saying, okay, let's question why are we at 4.25?
I don't think we're acting
although
as if,
Waller and Bowman are both kind of in the position where they have to comment, and they're making moves. They both made little moves to the dovish side.